As we approach this season of Thanksgiving, it's a season of gratitude, right? It's a season of us being able to be thinking about the things that we appreciate. And yet it's not always easy for us to just dive right into that season, right? Right now, a lot of us are facing the hardships of the market shift. Business has been challenging, right? For sure, for a lot of us. We just came off a celebration of life for Kelly Wicker, and our hearts are grieving and broken for the Midtown family, for the House team, and also for Kelly's family. We got a little bit glimpse of her life story, and just man, she's had a big impact on so many people. So that's a big loss for us. And so again, in the midst of everything that's going on, it's a challenge sometimes to have a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of thanksgiving. And yet, I think sometimes in life, it's easy for us to just start going down that track, lose sight of things. It's easy to get down and not be able to get out of it. I look at my own life, and just a few years ago, I was in a tough season, and for me, I was not experiencing I mean, I was in a space where I had no joy, no love, no hope. That's the words that I was using. And when we get into that moment, when we get into that season, it's very, very difficult to get out, but it can also be very, very destructive. And so I think as we approach Thanksgiving, how can we turn it around? How can we get out of those places where we get a little bit stuck, where we don't want it to turn into resentment. We don't want to turn it into um, anger or frustration, where we really get bitter on the inside. So as we look at it, there's several things that could inhibit our posture of gratitude. And it could be a few things like a spirit of fear, where we're like asking the question, what if there is not enough? Right? What if there's just not enough? It could be envy or comparison. We look at ourselves and we look at someone else in business, and we like wish that we had their business, or we wish we had their success. It also could be a lack of belief, where we just come down to the aspect of us saying we're not enough, or even the possibility of entitlement, like I deserve this, I deserve more. So as we look at this idea of moving into Thanksgiving, I think we can uh, find gratitude in different situations. And one is embracing, even though we're done with the Bold Law series, but the Bold Law changed the way you look at things, and the things that you look at change. And so one of the first things that's challenging for us is finding gratitude around difficult people, right? I think a lot of us, we expect people to treat us kindly, fairly, respectfully, and that's not always the case, right? And it's even more difficult if it's people that we're close to, because that even hurts even more. So I remember one time for me, it was someone that no matter what I was doing, I could not please them, right? There was always a negative comment. And what blew me away one time was like, I was encouraging others, I was trying to drum up energy, whatever, right? Like we were in a hard spot, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Daniel, you're too positive." And I'm like, what? Like how's that a legit criticism, right? I'm trying to encourage everyone. We were all going through a hard time. And he was critical of me because he goes, "You're not seeing things realistically." Right? But it might be our clients, right? Our clients that are giving us a hard time. And we're doing everything we can to serve them to the best of our ability, and they're just not appreciating us. It could be family members, right? And that becomes really hard, because if they're close to us, they're supposed to be family, and so their criticism will sting just that much more. Uh, but yet, if we want to take that bold law, right, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change with regards to our relationships, that we can have gratitude, that we do actually have friends, right? We do have people in our circles that are far less difficult to deal with. We could look at it from a posture of gratitude, that this is an opportunity for me, right, to really evaluate and say, hey, is it true, right? Is it real? To grow in patience, communication, but also love. Or worst, not worst case scenario, but like another aspect of it is that we're grateful that, it's a reminder for us of how not to be. Like this is not how I want my life to be. This is not how I want I to live my life. And I want to be a person that comes from a posture of gratitude. But the reality is, right, gratitude is a choice and an attitude. Because we can learn to choose to be grateful. We can choosing gratitude becomes a habit that really gives us daily opportunities to live out something more than just anger and fear. There was a Dutch Catholic priest and writer and theologian. His name is Henry Nouwen. And he says this, in the past, I always thought of gratitude as a spontaneous response to the awareness of gifts that I've received. But now I realize that gratitude can be lived as a discipline. The discipline of gratitude is the explicit effort to acknowledge that all I am and all that I have is given to me as a gift of love, a gift to be celebrated with joy. And I love that because that means we can choose gratitude. It's not just something whether we have it or not, but it can be lived as a life of discipline. Choosing gratitude actually changes your brain. It's not just a feel-good technique, right? Where we're just saying, yeah, everything's happy and everything's good. But there's actually empirical data that shows that gratitude changes the physical properties in our brain. The neural pathways, the brain functions, they change each time we choose to be grateful. And when we actually focus on the negative, then that inflames us, that takes our brain in a different direction. But when you practice gratitude, your brain releases the dopamine, the serotonin, the two crucial neurotransmitters responsible for our emotions that make us feel good. So choosing gratitude actually changes your brain. So we get to choose to be grateful. But then lastly, right? So this posture again, it's a mindset, it's an attitude. So can we find gratitude regardless of our circumstances? And I think part of that is appreciating where we are right now. Right? A lot of times we're worrying about the future, what the market's going to look like, what deals do we have right now. So look at it and say, where are we now? Right? Look at the relationships that we have. Look at the business that we have. Slow down and appreciate where you are right now. And gratitude turns what we have into enough. Gratitude turns what we have into enough. There's always going to be a reason to gripe about, hey, I wish it was this way. But there's beauty and power of a grateful heart. And there's joy in just making the choice to be grateful. So again, it's this idea when we say gratitude turns into what we have is enough, it's really just appreciating what we have over what we don't have. I remember one time I was working at one of our commercial spaces, and we had ended up evicting one of the tenants, and so there was a lot of stuff left over at the shop. And so I hired a cleaning crew to come in and help us with cleaning stuff out. And, at that point in time, I'm just like trying to throw everything away. So I'm just like taking everything, just dumping it into the trash. And then as we were continuing to clean up, then I was like going, wait a minute. I know I threw that stuff away. Like, why is it like back on the counter, right? And what I realized was the people that were cleaning the stuff out was taking it out of the trash and putting it and setting it aside. Things like sidewalk chalk. There was even like a used lint roller. They took the expired eggs that I had in the fridge and kept it for themselves. And what I realized is in my heart that what I looked at as trash, they were just still seeing it as something that they could use, something that was valuable to them. And it just kind of broke my heart because I realized that there's people out there that really do not have much. Like even something as a used lint roller, they wanted to save that. And so sometimes it was a good reminder for me that I do have a lot to be grateful for. That in this life, yeah, there's a lot of people that are going through much harder times than I am. And so no matter what's going on around me, that I can choose to be grateful for the things that I do have, grateful for the opportunities that we have. And when I can start complaining, then it's just a reminder that I need to relook at how reimagine, right, the things, reframe my circumstances. A practical action step we can take is just committing to a gratitude journal, documenting everything that's happening to us on a day-to-day basis. Just writing 3 to 5 things, people, events that we're thankful for, and looking for those lessons that we learn along the way of kind words, sweet moments, things that where we can just choose to be grateful.